in the special event world, we just were awarded World Golf Championships 2.5 weeks ago. I told the media it fell out of the sky into my lap because they said, Elliot, great job getting that event. And I said, I had nothing to do with it. It fell out of the sky into my lap. And how we got to that point is we had a relationship with the PGA for about 6 years. They're doing the LECOM event at National Golf Course the week prior. But then I told the media, I said, he goes, oh, how did you pull that off? What did you have to do to get it done? And I said, you know what? We're in the common sense business, okay? There's nothing really difficult procuring an event of that caliber. But what is the most common sense thing of importance is relationships, okay? So we started a relationship with the PGA. Here's who we are, here's what we do, here's the assets that we have, okay? I've always said a good salesperson doesn't need sales pitches to be effective. Convey consistent, solid information with really good follow-up quickly. Anna will tell you every 5 or 10 minutes that goes by gives you how much of a less of a chance?
It's actually every hour that goes by without responding to someone regarding an event, you have a 10% less of a chance of getting that event.
Okay. Every hour, think about it, an 8-hour day, every hour you got a 10% less chance of getting the business. We built a relationship with the owner of the concession, Bruce Cassidy, a very successful entrepreneur out of Steubenville, Ohio, that now owns the concession. Okay, so what did we do we pulled in Dr. Joe Askren because we knew there was a resource that we needed to help facilitate the event. At the same time, we know that there are students that need the hours to earn their degree. Win-win situation, okay? So we built a relationship. We communicated well. We didn't oversell. We spoke with some passion. Okay, I'm known sometimes as a charismatic type of speaker, okay? We seek to find balance, and we communicate in an unselfish manner, okay? Balance. When you're negotiating, you're not saying, you know what, I'm gonna get the better of you, okay? I may beat you one time, pretty good chance you'll figure that out, and you'll either won't come back again, or you're gonna fight and fight and fight the next time, so you win. Balance, okay? Don't think you're naive, but seek balance. Have that downfield vision, and speak in an unselfish manner. And I promise you, you'll have a lot of success, okay? Keep the chip off your shoulder. Have mercy for people, okay? Love people that don't love you. That's easier said than done, okay? Try to create a relationship with people that don't like you, okay? It's hard, but the more you do it, that's having mercy for people. The more you do it, the more you'll be unselfish, other-centered, and you'll train your brain to always reach out to people for the greater good. That'll gain you opportunities, gain you business moving forward every day of your life. I promise you that. It's not easy, but the more you do it, the better you get, and the more natural it'll become, okay? So focus on those things, and everything else will fall into place. You're going to be strong administratively. You know why? You're going to have a college degree. You've proven that, okay? And you're going to learn policies and procedures and tactics that Dr. Joe teaches you and all of your other professors, okay? But what's hard to teach is the personality traits, everything that I just mentioned. Start now and focus on it every day. And I'll tell you what, in a couple years, call me when you've done that, and I know you're going to tell me, you know what, your common sense thoughts are working, okay? enjoy the class tonight. I'm gonna be here for a little while, and then I'm gonna have to sneak out, but I'm gonna turn it back over to you, Dr. Joe, and then we're gonna turn it over to Anna Paul.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elliot. I could talk a whole hour and thank Elliot and Anna for all that they do for our program, but I do want to properly introduce Elliot. He practices what he preaches. Everything he's the master of the soft skills, and so is Anna. Both of these people are in their positions for a reason. They get these soft skills that you can teach and kind of promote and motivate people, but you have to do them on your own. But I think that's the key to the event business. Two very well-respected people in the event industry and the tourism industry in the state of Florida, around the country, around the world. Believe me on that one. So we're so lucky to have them not only in class here today, but they're also on our advisory board. We do other things with them throughout our program. They're constantly trying to help us, reaching out. I can't tell you how many times Elliot and Anna have connected people to us, to our program. So I just can't thank them enough. This to me is one of the favorite times of this course. Number one, I get to see you guys face to face. The few that aren't here, they've probably connected with me, believe me. And so I'm videotaping this, and I'll put it in a quick little YouTube splice, and then I'll post it, and I'll share it with everybody. So if you guys want to download it or save the link, that's great. But again, I'm so thankful to be here. This is going to be a great class. We're going to learn a lot very quickly. But again, I've got to just properly introduce them. Of course, Elliot Falcione, director of the Convention Visitors Bureau of the Bradenton area, and then of course General Manager Anna Paul of the BACC, so Bradenton Area Convention Center. A lot of letters there, but I thank them so much. And again, what Elliot was talking about was that PGA opportunity that I sent out to you on a PDF. We're at about 90%. It's about 90% full, that roster, from that Monday, the 22nd of February to the 28th. So if you haven't signed up yet, I think a few of you in this class have, but it's now spread out through the entire hospitality school and Moomin College of Business. So it's filling up fast. So if you just go online, find that link, and you can see if you have any slots available to your schedule. But I encourage you to do that. Even if you just do one short 4 or 5 hour slot, that's beautiful. So let's see what else. So we're gonna have a great class today, and then maybe at the end I'll maybe spend 5 minutes kind of wrapping up the class and kind of pushing us forward into this next module, which we're in module 2 now, right? So fantastic. But again, thanks Elliot, thanks Anna, thank you so much.
Well, we're really, really glad that you guys are here. We're going to go on a quick tour, and I just thought I'd ask Elliot, did you want to discuss a little bit about the CVB itself? Because I'll delve more into the event planning in our facilities and that aspect. Is that okay with you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Wonderful.
Y'all gotta hear me again.
Put him on the spot.
That's it.
We promote the Bradenton area for tourism. Thank you very much. I got one laugh at least. The meat of what we do is promote the area for tourism, the leisure tourism, okay? From Anna Maria Island to Longboat Key to Bradenton to Lakewood Ranch. We have what you call top feeder markets. Most of our customers come from New York, Illinois, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. Now we're growing into Texas and the Carolinas, becoming really, really prominent. Mainly the tactics that we're using today is, there's a hotel general manager, is digital advertising. 20 years ago, you would advertise on a television commercial or a billboard or a magazine. Today, you're digitally targeting, which really helps you track the results based on your ad placement. For example, if somebody said, hey, we want, will you buy something in a platform that gets you on CNN website or New York Times website? The first question we ask is, give us your readership demographic, okay? So I could just rattle them off right now. The median age of a visitor to the Bradenton area is 49 years old. The average household income of a visitor is $120,000 a year, okay? The average visitor stays 5.2 nights per stay. The state average is 4.1. We are a couples family destination. I won't court many of you all to come vacation here if you're single, millennial, or Generation Z. Why is that? What do you probably want when you're on vacation at this particular age? You want nightlife? You want attractions, right? No nightlife on Anna Maria Island, no major attractions in Manatee County. So if I target you, I'm spending money that I'm not gonna get much of a return in our investment compared to going after someone like Anna or Joe, okay? We target first-time visitors. Why is that important? 94% of the time, a first-time visitor comes back within 12 months. 94% of the time. That is incredible. That's why we target first-time visitors. They come back because they didn't get everything they wanted to get done based on the itinerary that we suggested to them. They make it a family tradition after that every year. And then what do they say? Let's buy a part-time home and start spending more time here. Then they transition to a full-time home and move a business or buy a business here. That's how Florida was built, okay? We're funded 100% on tourism tax generation. What does that mean? When you stay at a hotel or a short-term rental accommodation in Manatee County, for every dollar that you're charged, you pay 5 pennies tax, called the tourism tax, or in layman's term, a bed tax. Whether it's a Hilton or a Marriott or a condominium on Anna Maria Island, we assess a bed tax. That generated $15.5 million in taxes last year. That pays for Anna and I's salaries. It pays for all of our marketing and promotions. It could pay for certain partnerships, museums, the Pittsburgh Pirates Lecom Park. It pays to renovate a facility like this, subsidize it. We can use it for sports sponsorships. We can use it for art and culture sponsorships. So very broad, but at the end of the day, everything I just articulated has some kind of tie to tourism. We couldn't use it to build sidewalks in the community or pay for police or education. That's not why they assess that, okay? For a facility like this, we need a convention center headquarters hotel. So if you came in on this side where you parked, you saw the construction site. There's gonna be a 252 room, 8-story Sheraton hotel that's gonna break ground, the vertical, hopefully this summer. And that'll be open in 18 to 20 months. Once that goes into construction, we're gonna go to the Board of County Commissioners and see if they'll approve an expansion to this facility. That'll add another 20,000 square foot multi-purpose room with an air conditioning connector into the hotel. That'll put us on a whole different platform of diversity that we don't have right now. You are sitting in a county that is one of the most diverse counties that has a brand that's diverse for tourism. We have a strong leisure base. We have a strong tourism segment. We have a strong arts and culture. Where we have a void in our tool belt is the conference convention meetings, okay? And that caters to summer business, fall business. It fills gaps in your seasons as well as the sports tournaments. Think about it, the World Golf Championships, bringing that event here gets us on the Golf Channel 2 days, NBC National Television 2 days. That gets you in front of 100 million households in the domestic US. And guess what? NBC sells to television platforms globally. That's going to get us in front of 800 million households around the world. Okay, what do I have in it? $250,000. If I had to buy that off the shelf, you're looking at $1.5 to $2 million buys to get that kind of impressions worldwide. Okay, that's how you do business. Okay, and obviously we'll have the top golfers in the world compete here. Finally, we have an international market. For those of you who live in Florida, you'll hear the British articulation certain times of the year. You'll hear German language. We have a third-party office in London and a third-party office in Frankfurt, Germany. So we actually get 45,000 Brits visit the Bradenton area in a normal non-COVID year. and about 50,000 Central Europeans that come here, Germans, Swiss, and Austria. Why are they important? They come in from August 1st till January 15th. Do we need a push in leisure visitation then in this kind of a coastal destination? Yes. And they spend more money per day and stay longer than any other visitor that we would. Okay? And they also buy real estate and businesses. They're more likely to do that because the dollar fluctuation. If the pound's a lot stronger against the US dollars, they can get a great price on a business or a home. So they're very valuable to us. And that business alone generates about $250 million to the local economy a year. Okay? So that's a 60,000 kind of a foot view of what we do. I've always said that if you're interested in the hospitality industry, which the special event kind of industry integrates with the hospitality industry, there's no better job than working in a convention and visitors bureau, because we touch everybody. We touch hoteliers, we touch restaurant owners, we touch the education component, we touch arts and culture and heritage and parks. So my job is different every day. I'm like Baskin Robbins walking around. I got 31 different flavors that I can work with every different day. So look at it. It's I'm one of 52 jobs in the state of Florida in this position. Pretty neat. Okay, so that's the overview. You have my business card as well. A lot of students will ask us questions post class. Feel free to. We're here to help you. And we're also looking for interns quite often. So follow up with Dr. Joe on that as well. I think we've had at least 3 or 4 USF interns working for us, and we need more, so keep that in mind as well. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you. Okay, guys, let's get up and we're going to take a brief tour of the facility. So y'all can see where we're at today and then at the facility. They make ambulances for all over the United States. They also work on fire trucks and other types of emergency vehicles. They outfit them with everything that's needed, with the computer systems, all of the specialty projects, so that they're very safe and can do all the functions that they need to do. So once a year they come here, and if it was earlier in the day, I'm not sure if there's any more vehicles in the convention center hall, but they do trainings with people from all over the country. Either they've just purchased something new from Pierce, or it's new employees that need to have some education. And they do a lot of hands-on, and they do a lot of training to get them up to speed. And so these are some of the rooms that are set up for them. So feel free to look in, and you can tell that they're in here and probably coming back the next day. I see a mask on a table.
Feld Entertainment is about 2 miles from here. They've got monster trucks in there. They tear them up during the shows, and then they rebuild them right here. It's an old Siemens plant. Really, really neat, and it's a great partnership. The Bradenton area hosted the WNBA season last fall because of our relationship with ING Academy, and all the games were played at Feld Entertainment. It was made for TV, where you would have thought that it was in a gymnasium. It's really, really neat. So that could be a tour someday in the future for students.
Definitely.
So I'm glad y'all got to see this, and as you can tell, it's kind of set up for social distancing right now. We try to get and do get a social distancing COVID safety plan from every event organizer, so that we have a comfort level that they're following rules and procedures and practices that we think would be very safe for all of the attendees too. So that's worked out really well. The event organizers love it too, because we'll walk them through what needs to be done if they're not sure. And everyone has thought that it's worked out just fine. So we're good. While we're here, if you look over here, if y'all didn't see it earlier, I'll open the door. I'll probably go outside a little bit. But you can see that this is where the hotel that we're talking about will be built. It's pretty exciting. Right now you don't see much.
You can imagine.
So there will be a connection, and I'll show it to you more later, but it'll connect through this portion of the building. So it's just completely seamless. Where some of those piles of dirt are is going to be an outside venue, because it's really neat to be able to take advantage of our, I would say, almost edge on the competition by having outdoor activities. It's much more fun than maybe going to Chicago and you're stuck inside all day and maybe it's colder and where are you gonna go? And here you can go outside and have maybe dinner on the lawn or breakfast on the lawn, and then come inside and do more of your conferences here in the spaces that we have. So works out great. You can just leave from your hotel room and come on in.
As you know, especially living in Florida, you don't want your guests to get rained on or the heat. So it's important they stay under air. And without the, and Dr. Joe knows that you go to a conference, you need a mass assembly, breakfast, keynote session area, or a lunch session, keynote speaker. So you would come out of the hotel, and right here is planned to be the 20,000 square foot ballroom. They can accommodate, what, Anna, 900 people, give or take. And then you'll see the main arena, which will be the trade show location. So without one, the package really doesn't work, and it would make it more difficult for Anna and her team to sell space for small conferences and conventions. With it, we'll separate ourselves from the competition with all the amenities.
Okay, let's go back inside. Y'all go in a little bit and I'll come find you. Alcove, so you can put extra tables or extra things there to keep the space open. And a lot of times when you're talking about the numbers of people that you can have at conventions, when you really need to think about fire safety, fire code, we talk to the fire marshal quite often, just to make sure we're doing everything right. We have a great relationship. And just as Elliot was saying, relationships are truly, really the most important part of doing anything with events. So the fact that we talk to them, the fact that they know the types of things that we have, they trust us, and it works out really, really well.
To reinforce, get out in front of it. Call the fire marshal and say, look, we're not sure if we're doing this right. Can you come over and look at this with us? It's a lot better than saying, I hope the fire marshal doesn't come. Okay? The health inspector for the kitchen. Hey, we're not sure if we should be doing this or not. Get out in front of it. Your auditors. Make them become consultants. Okay? And then when you're partnering with them, whole different dynamic. Instead of having that fear of, oh my gosh, as they're looking at our books, what are they going to find wrong? And it's going to get me in trouble. Convert them to consultants. It works, I promise you.
Let's work out really well. So here are restrooms that we have, a small business center that's sometimes used for all kinds of storage. We've had quite a few government meetings here where it is the Board of County Commissioners and others, and they have to be televised. So the crew that came stored a lot of their equipment in there to keep it safe. Here's another room, which is good to look at. This is the Anna Maria Island room. And Pierce is also set up in here. We also pray that it's lit if you want.
Just don't go through the door.
We're gonna walk all the way through and we're gonna look outside.
It always works, Jeff.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
What do you guys want to say?
I'm going to the door.
Joe, this isn't for us.
What is all that?
That was my like worst.
Intimidating.
We're doing certain types of events. You could do registration, sign up out here, and then go into meetings. If it's all separated, you can do a cocktail hour out here, possibly if you were doing maybe a sit down in the room that we've been in. It's a really great.
Visualize yourself, you're coming from the hotel and you're headed to the exhibit space. We're probably going to blow out this wall and open it up more. Think about it, look, you're only about a group of 10, and you seem like you're getting into a funnel. So we're gonna open that up
Yeah, that's
more.
good.
It's gonna lay out really well.
Imagine 800 people trying to get through here.
Elliot, when was this building? When was this built? How old?
January 1985 it opened up. Never had debt service. The land was donated by the developer of Riviera Dunes and a guy by the name of Ralph Haben, who was Senate president, helped get the county a $10 million grant to build this place.
Wow.
So it never had debt service.
That's interesting.
Use a lot of hotels for whatever space it is outside the main function hall. In it, we've got concession stands. Sometimes you have food sold out of one side if it's like a trade show and they want to make sure people can eat and drink. Sometimes it's shut down and it's used for maybe selling merchandise that goes along with a conference. Once in a while, it's where maybe packets are picked up of all the items that you need to go to an event or function. So it can be utilized for many things. There's one on each side. We also have in the middle, you can kind of see it slightly, it's a round box office. So if we're ever selling tickets, it works out really well because there's an opening to the front where people can come up and to the inside if people still have questions. And it can also be used for various types of things. So this space too, sometimes for certain events, I'm sorry I'm taking this off as I talk. For certain events, it's really great. You can set up silent auctions. We've seen all kinds of things out here to entertain the crowds.
Multi-purpose, diverse, very important. This is a little boy's dream. I'm a little boy right
They're
now.
here. So here are some of Pierce's products. So now when you drive down the road and you see something, you'll notice the Pierce emblem on a lot of these types of vehicles. Which is really great. So in fact, we were talking about the fire marshal. One thing that we need to make sure, because these vehicles have gas inside of them, that they have to be less than a quarter tank, and that's by getting ahead of what the fire marshal, would shut us down for. We already know we have to make sure that's done. We just check it and then we bring them inside, and it works out really well.
It's interesting, you see these fire trucks, we can put an 18-wheel tractor trailer in here, has an unlimited floor load. So know your product. 32,000 square room, can fit 188 10 by 10 booths, can seat 3,800, concert style or mass assembly, can divide into two. You're looking at 1,200 seats right here, 574 here. You have a floor to the first I-beam of 26 feet. Boom, boom, boom. So you got to know your product, because the more you know your product, you can help the client not miss a step. Okay, make sure your clients run an efficient, effective operation. Know that you are serving them to watch their dollar. So important that you're loyal to them. Okay, and you'll be successful. I'm going to segue away from here and call a hotel GM. I'm going to leave you with this. I've joked around a little bit, right? And that's really important. Anna and I tell staff, don't be afraid of failure. If you're not failing from time to time, you're not doing your job. Try not to fail at the same thing twice, okay? We're not going to work in fear. If Anna and I were always serious and regimented, you kind of have a little fear, like, oh my gosh, what if I screw up? But if you laugh, okay, the fear factor comes down. Now I have to earn your respect before I start joking around a little bit, okay? Have to earn it, okay? Because if I earn it, human nature, you'll respect me back, okay? But if I laugh, and I do this in public meetings, what happens is you probably laugh, or if I'm funny, which I think I am,
You're pretty funny.
then you're gonna laugh. And when you laugh, the blood, the oxygen, I know, see, you know I'm funny. The oxygen, new oxygen flows into the brain that calms you down and enhances your creativity. Have you ever been creative when you're nervous? Okay. Have you ever spoken and your voice is kind of fluttering a little bit because you're nervous? You're not breathing, so the oxygen's not moving. It's that simple. So we laugh a lot, okay? And then finally, I commend you two gentlemen. I don't comment on ladies' dress attire, but you kind of look like me, and you're in school, and you could have come with a t-shirt and shorts and looking like a slob, but if I was walking around talking to you like this, could you think of me differently? Okay? The military makes you wear uniforms because they're trying to discipline you. So you doing that today, and I hope you do it a lot on every day that you wake up, because you're training yourself to look good for the customer. Okay? You can't turn it on and off right away. So you're training your mind to be like that. Always remember that. Because if I look like this and I'm trying to tell her to do something, she's thinking I'm actually listening to this guy. Very important. Okay? I'll bet you maybe 10% of you will follow up to what I've suggested to you tonight. Okay? Well, guess what? That 10% will separate yourselves from the competition. And if you look around, your classmates can be your competition in a future job. Always remember that, okay? Always a pleasure to spend time with you all. You have my business card. I'm here for you. Anna's here for you. Work hard, listen, build relationships, work on your personality traits. You'll be special compared to the norm, okay? And be safe, okay? And I'll see you again soon.
Real quick, Elliot, thank you so much. Elliot's going to join us on week 15. He's going to do the wrap-up session. It's fantastic. It's one of the highlights, I think, of the class. I just introduce him and he goes, and you don't even need me
So
on
I
week
gotta
15.
change up my, all right.
No, you gotta
remind me
change
that
nothing at all.
You've talked to me before.
But that'll be on Zoom. It'll be a Zoom class on week 15. He's done it for the past, I think, 5-6 times I've taught this class. It'll be great. So you'll get to hear Elliot again.
He couldn't find any other speaker.
No, hogwash.
So,
Thanks, Elliot. Thank you, Elliot.
Anna, take it away. Thank you all. I'm driving the fire truck home. So,
Yeah, fire
thanks,
up that
buddy.
horn.
I'll see you
Take
tomorrow.
care. We'll
okay?
see you. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah,
you
great.
got it. Take care. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, let's wander this way a little bit, and you can see that we have a gigantic air wall going down the middle of the building, just so you get a sense of scale. Because these fire trucks are pretty dependent. Oh, we should pop our head over. We all see how big 32,000 square feet is?
Yeah. Anna, have you always had that room divider?
We have.
Okay, I've never seen it up. That's,
Competing at different levels. They had a main stage, they had separate stages, they did all kinds of things, and so we pulled out our bleachers, which we're slowly setting them back again. And we even had our additional bleachers. We have some things that help us even have more seating. So that's what they're working on there to get it outside. But it was very successful, and it was the first time I had ever had a competition where the kids, mostly kids, there were some adults too, they were barefoot and running around. So it was yet one more thing to think about, and it's one lesson I always learn. No matter how many questions you ask, you're always going to assume something that's not the case. And we didn't even think about asking, are you wearing shoes? So with COVID, we're like, oh, how do we do this safely? What's going to make this make sense? Even in normal times, dirty little feet running around everywhere is not always the best thing. So we came up with some kind of the Clorox wipes and made sure all the kids were wiping their feet and clean and safe.
Anna, real quick, I know that you wrote the protocol, the COVID protocols for the county, right?
I did.
What was that all about? How did you get involved with that?
Well, COVID hit, and the county administration office realized that for events, we have to be very organized and prepared in advance for everything that happens. And as y'all are learning, there are lots of rules in place, usually at the venues, that have to be paid attention to and followed. So they just thought it made perfect sense, since events were important to continue, and for the safety of all of the staff in Manatee County, that we got involved with it. So our operations manager, Sandra Guerrera, and I wrote all of it, passed it by emergency services, passed it by public health, and made sure we were also following, for sure, every single CDC guideline that was changing rapidly in the first few months. It was a really rewarding process, but it shows you that good planning is like good project management, and you know how to break large things down into portions, and you can do that. So it worked out really well.
Great.
We're right now helping other event spaces throughout this area, a lot of nonprofits, with what to do for COVID safety to have events and run them. In fact, this week I'm going out to the Palmasola Botanical Park. Anyone heard of that ever? It's out in Northwest Bradenton, beautiful gardens. They have a small indoor space that people often want to use for ceremonies. They just were feeling like, okay, as things are picking up, let's just see, what's safe in that space. So I'm gonna go out there this week and help them.
Excellent.
So, lots of fun. Good way to think about events. Lots of aspects. So we'll keep walking forth between the different sides of the huge space in there, which we call Center Hall. And I'm going to take you to a kitchen so you see that too and how it works. So we'll head this way. Here's some of our great event staff. Oh, we got it open, they're the best. So right now it's being used for storage for a lot of things. But I just want y'all to see what it takes to put it on events when you've got different things happening throughout the space. So in here right now, we've got a lot of chairs stored because we're also redoing sections, so we're using it as storage, but we'll clear it all out and use it for event space. And there's lots of kitchen lines. Joe can probably speak to this better than I can about how they separated it out for the different catering needs throughout the building. We've got coolers in the way back, and it works out really well.
I like your kegerator. That's cool.
Yeah, no, there's the things right here.
That's right.
Now, when the hotel comes, we're gonna have it all redone to fit their needs and their specifications. They will have a kitchen for catering in the hotel. They'll also have a kitchen for their restaurants, and they'll have one here too, so that they can make sure they're close to all the areas that need to be serviced. There's some offices and some storage areas, but I wanted y'all to kind of see. This is actually really, really big, bigger than most spaces like this, so it's helpful.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add about this part?
I know as far as redesigning this for what's coming up, what's the timeline for that? Are you waiting until?
So we've talked to the hotel developers, and they should be starting to go vertical late spring, early summer. We're really excited about it. With COVID, we just had a little pause, which makes a lot of sense too, because you don't necessarily want to open up something in the midst of all this. You want to have a really successful boom. Here we are.
Right.
And those of y'all in like PR and business, that's important for all kinds of reasons too. And so once that takes place, once we know they're doing the vertical, then we get approval from the Board of County Commissioners.
Gotcha.
And we also are governed a little bit by the Tourist Development Council. They're kind of our guiding principles. They'll say yay or nay if it sounds good to them, and then it goes to the board.
You were telling me a while back about the dynamic between who's, like, once everything is in place, everything's built and running, you were telling me about the operational dynamic, who's managing who's in charge of who, and you seemed quite happy about how that was going to be done compared to how it is now.
I'm excited about it. It works differently all over the country. You're going to see it run in different ways. But we're going to make sure that we're booking the spaces here. And that's to make sure that everything is smooth. Because there may be some events, like the Fusion Dance we just talked about, that really doesn't have much to do with catering. It might be just a little bit of concessions. It's more just truly for the competition itself. So we want to be able to book this space, satisfy those clients, but then what we can also do is have the hotel cater everything, or the hotel may say, Anna, I'm going to book this space, you know, on this date, and I'm going to handle the management of it, but we'll be for sure paying you, which that works out really well too, because then we just make sure we've got the contract, they handle everything, the contract's with the hotel, and it'll be great.
So the hotel's going to be doing all the catering?
Yes.
Oh yeah, which is good.
We're really
Streamlined,
excited about
yeah.
it. Yes, very streamlined. Y'all saw probably out there right now some vending machines, because that makes sense. A lot of times when we have concessions going on, but when we have the hotel, we want them successful. A Convention Visitors Bureau wants every hotel successful. So for the hotel that's coming in, they'll probably have more like a little marketplace with a little coffee station. You can buy your bottled waters, things like that there. And they're thinking, let's just keep that open and not fuss with the concessions in this area too. So I think that'll be a really good plan.
So when you're booking events here in the future, are you also going to be booking in their event space?
Yes, and then they'll take it from there. But we're going to let them know, and we'll know what spaces are open.
Gotcha.
And it'll be really good. And I think in situations like that, more often than not, the hotel will probably book the spaces from us, sign the agreement, and work seamlessly with whoever is coming here to go back and forth between the hotels in whatever manner is needed. We just want to make it simple for the customer. So that's what we'll be doing.
Can't wait. I wish we could fast forward 2 years. It's gonna be buzzing with just, you know,
it's really
incredible
exciting.
energy.
So
Yeah. Good.
let's go backwards and go to the room again this direction. We'll see all the different things. So we've been working primarily with offsite caterers right now. We handle everything here. That's what we've always done. Sometimes we've had times where one caterer is going to tell us more than the others. But right now, a lot of it, because of how catering is so sophisticated, they do a lot of the cooking on their trucks. They're not doing It's absolutely amazing if y'all have never seen a catering truck and how that works. Types of event management. And then there's others that know this place well, backwards and forwards, because they come here every single weekend. You know, and it's really great. And it's a really neat way. I've really learned a lot about the trade show world working here. I mean, I thought I knew trade shows. You know, there's like a science to it for a lot of the promoters that do it all over the country. So there's always something to learn in this business. So it's really, really good. I'm gonna first, unless you want me to do it otherwise, just show you some things about our facilities. Because what's really cool about our area is that we have 3 facilities, as Elliot was saying, that are completely different. And it really, really helps to attract events. And then if one place is not the perfect fit, we can either send it to another venue that's in our county that we think would be a better fit, or move it to another one that we own. Because we first and foremost want everyone to have a successful event. We don't necessarily say, we've got to have it all here. We share with all of our, we call them industry partners, everyone in hospitality in this area. You'll find that many people from large cities like to come here to get a different feel for what they're doing. And some people think meetings here are very relaxing, and we're going to even make it more so. So it's a cool little yes. Here it is. Y'all can see it set up for different events, so you get some other ideas of what it can look like. We do all the graduations for all the high schools in this county except for one, so we stay quite busy with that too. Do we do y'all's graduation?
Yeah.
We do.
Campus. Yep.
And for y'all to see it too, here's just an overhead of all the spaces we were in. It works out great. We have offices in this area too, and there's dressing rooms way back here. They got trashed over the weekend, so we did not need to see them. They haven't been cleaned all the way, but they were used. This is the other facility that we own. This is the Powell Crosley Estate. It is from the 1920s, a historic home. It's actually the winter residence, not the main residence, for the Crosley family. Has anyone ever been there? Good. Has anyone heard of it before? Okay. So I'll go into a little bit more. Powell Crosley came here because John Ringling was here. Y'all know about the Ringling Museum? Okay. And so John Ringling said there's this great piece of property right by where I am. You have to build a home and we'll come down here and have a great time. And there was a hotel in downtown Bradenton. There's a hotel in Boca Grande. And then there were some others that had homes like in the Fort Myers area. And everyone took their yacht with their friends and went to all the homes. It was quite fancy and a really neat time. So they came out here. So this mansion is on the bay, on Sarasota Bay. It's stunning. We do at least 3 weddings every single weekend when it's nice weather. In the summer, it slows down a little bit. Right now, with COVID, we are really hopping at the Crosley. Florida is open for business, as you guys hear. And so lots of people that were really wanting to have weddings are willing to move their weddings to Florida. And they're having weddings on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's wild. I've never seen anything like it. In fact, September is probably our slowest month. It was the busiest September we've ever had, and it basically doubled what we did last year. So we're pretty excited about it. It's good business. We also don't have restrictions on the number of people that you can have at the Crosley, because we can open people up to the back lawn that you can see there. You can put up tents, you can spread inside to the upstairs and make sure everything's safe. So people are really happy. There's other venues, and I understand everyone needs to do what works best for them and their business, but some venues are cutting back to 50 people. And maybe you're a family where it's like, if I don't have 75 people, I can't even invite the closest family. So it's been nice that we're able to help people out.
Anna, just one comment.
Sure.
Everybody here is from the Tampa campus, or no?
That's what I was wondering, where are y'all from? Okay.
Because if you're on the Sarasota Manatee campus, this is right in our backyard. It's practically on our campus, and so students, you can walk to that beautiful location. And we've done a couple events there. We're looking to do some other events with Anna and her team as fundraising for our college and hospitality, school of hospitality.
It's one of the reasons that I'm here in this position today. I used to have an event planning business, and I did lots of weddings there as a planner. I also, for the Crosley Foundation, which is the nonprofit arm, making sure that the Crosley estate adheres to preservation, historic preservation efforts, things like that. Make sure if we need money to fix something up that's fairly expensive that we weren't expecting, they help raise funds for that. And I did all of their fundraising events for many years. So I sat down with Elliot the other day, and I think I've done 1,000 events there. As like a conservative guess, in some way, shape, or form, through catering, full coordination, or through helping out with rentals and planning CAD drawings of the event space and picking out linen colors and that kind of thing. So,
How many years?
I've been involved in the Crosley since 2002. So it's pretty wild. So I know it well. If you have questions, let me know. Here's some of the interior. This is where the chairs are inside. That's the main living space, and the outside lawn that we were discussing. This is one of the first prefab buildings in the state of Florida, may be the first prefab building. It was put up in about 90 days. Really quickly, they had everything poured. It's mostly concrete, so they're not worried about fire in it. Really, there's not much that could burn except for some decorative wood, and it went up really, really fast for that time. You got to remember too, we didn't have roads everywhere, so it all had to come by boat. There were roads in the local vicinity, but not, clear up to where they might get some of these products. So it's pretty impressive. And just for like the winter. Here's some of the floor plans. Floor plans are incredibly important. You need to make sure as an event planner that you go to a site and measure everything yourself. I've found many times things sometimes are not the correct dimensions that you're given. You don't know for sure unless you go. So make that always a habit, to make a venue, show you around, and you measure it yourself. You can get messed up. Here's another venue. This is the Premier Sports Campus. It's in Lakewood Ranch. It from here is about 30 minutes away. It's on the east side of the interstate by about maybe 10 minutes. We know that where it is going to be the very center of the county in probably 20 years. So it seems sometimes if you lived here that seems like out east, but it really is going to be the center of everything. And if any of y'all have been to Lakewood Ranch, has anyone been out there? There's not much there, to draw you necessarily, but it's huge and grows all the time. It's really crazy. There's a main street, there's some cool things, like it's a neat area to live. So we're there. On that campus, we say 23 fields, we could make 24 if we need to. This is incredible celebration grass. It's what every pro soccer field uses. And what's even more incredible is that we can change those fields into different sports. That makes us very, very special. We can use it for rugby, football, Australian rules, and anything else you can possibly think of. We're having a big lacrosse tournament this weekend out there, this statewide. So we have robots that we've named Gigi, not sure why. And so the Gigis can go out there and they use GPS mapping and can make all the field white markings so that you can have the type of event that you want. That's so very, very special. Between us and IMG Academy, does anyone know IMG? Okay, one person. IMG Academy is the leader internationally of teaching students sports. So almost every professional tennis player you've ever heard of went through IMG Academy. It used to be Bollettieri and now it's IMG. But they've expanded from tennis into football, soccer, golf, you name it. It goes on and on and on. Track and field, there's a lot of that right now. And so between the fields that they own, which are 20, and they may one day have 20 more, all pro level, but even with just the 20 they have now that are outstanding and our 24, we're the largest in the country. So we attract a lot of huge sporting events. Sports are an amazing and great avenue for event planning. There's a lot involved with it. So it's just yet another area that you can utilize event planning skills for. So it's beautiful. I was out there this morning. It's almost impossible to believe how green and beautiful the lawns are out there. We have event after event. We had this weekend, for instance, some of the variety of things that you can do. We had XLD World's Ultimate Longest Drive. I've never heard of it. You've heard of it? Okay, great. So it's people that are good at golf, but not like good enough to play in the professional levels for a whole golf game. Like maybe their putting's bad or something like that. But they can hit a golf ball farther than anyone else. So it's also a pro sport. And so they had some amateur levels that are trying to get enough points to go pro, and they had some pros. They also had senior games for those that had been pro that still want to continue doing it. So that was really great. During COVID, it was interesting because they only allowed so many people. They want to keep their teams, safe and healthy. These pro teams, it's really important that they stay in little bubbles. But if you see it maybe next year, if COVID's not around, you're going to see stands of people, like almost like a football game, going the whole length of where they hit those balls. So it was interesting. I learned a lot about how that event is set up, and we asked lots of questions. How to do it this year, how to do it next year. So it's question, question, question. At the same time, we also had the Highland Games. So those are Scottish ancient games, things like throwing trees that are more like telephone poles and wearing Scottish kilts, and it was quite active out there this weekend. So you can see the variety of things that we can do.
That was this past weekend too?
Yes.
And did you allow spectators?
We did.
Okay, because the last one you didn't. It was right in the middle of COVID.
Correct. So we did that. And for the Highland Games, because these fields are so precious and so important, we put it in this area, which is a huge grassy area. We call it the Bahia Field. You can park there for certain events, but you can also use it as an event space. And we'll go into that more. So this is, those are the three venues. Any questions so far? Okay. So this is the hotel we keep talking about tonight that we're really excited to have. It is a Sheraton brand. Sheraton was just bought by Marriott, and Marriott sees this brand as being a very high-end, very luxury type hotel. We couldn't be happier to have it. I don't think anyone realizes how great it's going to be. I've gotten to see a lot of the interior images of the rooms. They're kind of modern, but kind of coastal. It looks very much like what we would like to project to the world. We're a very coastal area. Come here, be by the water, and enjoy. So it's going to be 8 floors. Where you see these windows right here, this is the side. This is going to be our convention center here. And so way up here is going to be like a restaurant bar. And so you can see the river, the Manatee River, which is really big and beautiful from that area. So it has a lot of components that is just going to make it fun for people to come to.
Maybe early 23?
Yeah, and they're really hoping by the end of 2022. But just sometimes as hotels are built, sometimes you do run into delays for whatever reason. You're having to abide by the flag standards, and the flag, it means the brand of the hotel. So since it's such a new concept, we'll see, because it'll be one of the first that's built, probably second or third, probably. So it should be good. We have a few designs of how this is going to work. This, as y'all can see, y'all tell me if you can't see things, is our convention center. This is kind of where we were at the end of the hall, or actually right here. So we're going to be able to walk on this air-conditioned pathway between the two. The plan you'll see in a little bit is that the ballroom will be on this side, but we've actually moved it to more in this space because this space is huge. This is almost the size of a football field, just to give y'all a little bit of perspective. Too skinny down here, but big. So we can put it kind of like where that dotted line is. This is big enough for 800 people for sure, 900 type. And then you'll still have a bit of an area here with grass that could be easily used for cocktail parties, ceremonies, a little bit more intimate, And we would have parking here, but they've got plans to put walls and things to separate everyone, so it looks really nice. This area is the hotel. They're gonna have their event space in this area, and the room that's here can be divided into 3, and y'all can see those little dots that can go out into the open space. So all of these ways, like here on these rooms, areas there, that makes it very inviting and coming to Florida. Now on this side, we're going to have an even bigger event space. Do y'all see how big that is? It's gonna be really, really cool. There'll be LEDs, all display TVs all throughout it. So you could have big Super Bowl parties there. You could have, concerts with videos going on. You could just have images of the crowd. You could have a nonprofit event where they want to put things up on the screen for everyone to see when they're trying to explain their charity. You could have dinner on the lawn. You could have concerts. You're going to have a built-in stage, more than likely here. And there may even be buildings throughout the space, maybe like coffee shops and things like that, that could be open when that makes sense, closed when it doesn't. Isn't that kind of cool? And then that's all the rooms in this space too, sorry guys. This is the pool area. Y'all can tell by scale how big that is. So there's also opportunities there for, we really think that would be more like cocktail parties at the end of an evening or a welcome reception, and again, ceremonies. A lot of people like to have ceremonies by any type of water, even like a pool, so we know that'll happen.
Oh, show them where our hospitality thing went.
I know, I saved the best for last. So what we went to do as well, y'all were in the kitchen, and we would just make a little, I gotta look really fast. Okay, here's our kind of kitchen area. We would make something, probably right here, right in this space, and have like a kitchen demo area, hospitality place. And we want USF to be involved with it, so that you can have really neat classes.
So that's incredible. We were so happy, beyond happy, when we heard about this about a year ago, or 6 months ago maybe.
Yeah.
So our program, you probably don't know a whole lot about our program, but it's a management-based hospitality degree. We have a bachelor's and a master's, and 2 of the core classes that they have to take are connect with culinary, connect with hospitality, restaurant operations, intro to food production, and restaurant management. So those 2 or 3 classes are threaded into that. For instance, I also teach an intro to beer science class. It's an elective, it's open to anybody. I mean, it's always full every semester. I'm teaching it right now, and it's a lab class. We learn about brewing, the process, ingredients. We make beer in class. We actually made a smoked porter last week in class. This is a USF elective class. I have bio majors that take it, and they get elective credit, science elective credit, so that class is there. So I can't, so that might be part of that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're happy.
And then we can utilize it when it's not being used for something like that. Maybe we have a conference, and team building is really popular. It's been popular for some time, and I think it'll continue to do so. So you could do some type of wine tasting team building, cooking course team building, how to make pasta team building. And the other place, I'm gonna go backwards, that you can do team building is out at the Premier Sports Campus and do fun sporting events and then come back here or have a combo with the different places we go.
And one of the reasons why we love this area, it's sort of not exactly in between Tampa and Sarasota. So our school of hospitality is based in Sarasota, but we teach it in Tampa, and we will be teaching in St. Pete as well. But this is a great location, sort of in the center. So if you're a future hospitality student, or if you just want to take classes out of our school, it's right there. So I can envision, we can have students in there doing internships there, and then also taking a class there, and so who knows.
We love internships. We know the hotel is very open about doing that, so I think it'll just be the best of both worlds. And as a visitors bureau, on that side of what we do, we work with the other counties that are near us. We work with Visit Sarasota quite a bit, because sometimes things bleed over into our different counties. We work with Tampa a lot because they have a great, huge international airport, but they don't have a beach. So sometimes we'll work together with them, and we work with St. Pete too for the same reason. We bleed right into them, they bleed into us, and it really works out well. It also gives us a lot of power when we're competing against maybe in Orlando at times, or in Miami at times. Because even though Tampa's big, we're not the same as some of these larger cities, or in LA, or Chicago, or New York City, or something like that. So we make friends and it works out well. And that way too, every hotelier talks to each other in these areas, and there's an organization that all of us belong to, which is Meetings Professionals International. So it's a really good organization if you're in the corporate world. Most of the hotels are members of that, and so we're able to network and talk about what we're facing, how we're overcoming it. It's been very, very helpful during COVID to be able to talk to each other and see what we're doing, because all of us we're very lucky. I'm like, knock on wood, this is plastic, but we are just getting slammed with business in Florida. So it's a really exciting time, and we're learning a lot, and we hope in the future to continue to have this business, and we're very aggressive in trying to keep it here. So there's always something to learn, and it's really good to network and figure that out. So we know it'll be a really good thing. The hotel's excited about that area too, because they were like, on slow nights, they could do stuff for the guests that are in the hotel. You know, almost a reservation system, and maybe locals come too. So as you can see, this particular ballroom, which can fit this is like an 800 seating, but y'all can see where it can get to 900. You just pull out a stage and add more tables in here. This is the part that'll probably get skewed more here. We've just looked at different ways of doing it, but this is so important, as Elliot was saying earlier. You can have your breakfast, lunch in there, then you can go into the trade show that's set up and just go back and forth as you need to for the different functions throughout the day. Walk through this space or walk to the hotel and have every single breakout session that you could possibly need. And then if you want to be really cool one night, you could go out on that lawn. Y'all see how that works? And you can see why at this point we can't attract always those types of events. And you want those events. They stay longer in our area. They stay in the hotels. They go to our restaurants. They shop. We have Ellington outlet malls here. It's the largest on the west coast of Florida. People shop there like crazy. And eventually those are the people that are the 94% that'll come back for their families, because they'll get a little taste of things and they'll be like, oh, I want to bring everyone, and they'll come back. That's that demographic we're looking for. It's the same way at the Premier Sports Campus. The families come in with the little kids or teenagers, you know, that's probably more of the age group, the teenagers playing all the sports. They love it, they see the area. In fact, they have a visitor center at the Premier Sports Campus, mostly showing Lakewood Ranch, but the whole area, and people go there and figure things out. This is the projected impact of what the Sheraton will be. So as you can see right now, for all the events that we have and do attract people from out of town, and someone was asking me about cheering events, we have a ton, and gymnastics events that are sometimes national. You should have seen this last gymnastics. I thought we were at the Olympics, it was insane. But we generate about 11,000 room nights every year. With a hotel, you're gonna get into 27,000 room nights, and that's a very, very conservative estimate. So the fact that we're more than doubling that is incredible. We have about 5,200, and again, we're more than doubling it to 12,800 of the overnight attendees in our accommodations. And the spending too. Does that help you guys?
That kind of gets into what we talk about in, I think, one of the earlier chapters. We call it the ripple effect. You know, when a convention comes or when a big event comes to town, man, it's not just that business in those four walls, it's the ripple. It's where they go after, before, during.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Stay for the weekend.
Yeah.
Keep doing.
Again, just impacting that bed tax.
And right now with some of our larger sporting events, and we'll do this with meetings when they come, if it's a really large one that attracts a big crowd, we've got a landing page now on our Visitors Bureau website so that we can show them specials that might be in the area. Maybe they've told us that this group wants to stay downtown and I don't know, bar hop and eat the local cuisine, and that's what they're into. Or someone else may say, you know, we think it's going to be families that come with this and they want to be out on the island maybe for a 3-day weekend before or after the tournament. So we can direct people to all the resources we have plus specials, because people love the specials and they'll end up maybe using 1 or 2 of them, but then they keep spending money and stay. And we know those people will come back too. So that's one of the things that we do as a Visitors Bureau. This is the Premier Sports Campus now. This is at Bahia Field. This was a huge wine festival, so it just shows you this location's absolutely gigantic. It's about 112,000 acres. I don't even know what that means, but that's so big. Am I saying that right? Yeah, 112,000, yeah. It's crazy. Does that sound weird? I'm not good with my acreage. But huge, because think 24 fields, it's a lot. So, this is one of the events. Happens every year except for this year because of COVID. And then we're going to be putting a potential tent, we know it's going to happen, a structured tent at the Premier Sports Campus. This is a game changer. So a lot of the sporting leagues need a space for team meetings, more space for trainers. They can convert part of it into locker rooms. Locker rooms are interesting. Usually if you're below 18, you don't have locker rooms for safety. Above 18, you're getting into college and stuff like that, you have locker rooms. So this is going to be air conditioned. It's going to have an awning all the way around it so you can even extend your event out and have other types of functions, and that's that diversity. So if you are in event planning and you start getting involved with venues, all you think about is diversity, diversity, diversity. It really helps you figure out ways to fill in time periods on your calendar when you might not be as busy or days of the week that need other things happening. So that's the tent. We're excited. That tent, in fact, should hold 500 plus people seated. We had it one size, we've made it even bigger because the local community said, we really, really, really need that size. So we're gonna have it. And I will tend to agree. Since doing events here for so long, I have turned away a lot of business over the years just because we don't have a facility that can handle that size event. You can build tents and make it work, but not every event can afford building a tent each and every time. If you've got a permanent tent structure up, and they last a long, long time, they last about 20 years without having to replace like the siding, the white, pretty structure material. It just makes it much more affordable for everyone to use it, and we want that to happen. And also, have any of y'all been up in St. Pete, the Tradewinds Resort? So they have a structured tent almost identical to what we're looking at having. So if you ever go up there, you should check it out. It's air conditioned, it's beautiful, and they say that more people want to rent it than a lot of the traditional ballrooms just because it's a little different. To do something neat. Just being able to have a tent is unique in Florida, all the time. So we also feel strongly having the proper software is important for booking events. You'll hear about this in all kinds of operations. Hotels have certain types of software, catering companies. I worked for a huge rental company of party goods for quite some time. And you need really good software to keep track of all the systems and all the details that you do in events. So we're going to work with Ungerbach. It's the leader internationally for convention centers and big stadiums for planning events. The software is going to allow us to book all 3 venues at the same time. And it takes it a step further. We have a sales team, and they go out to trade shows. They travel to different places, maybe talking to AAA places, where you name it. And so they're going to go out. They're going to find leads that want sports. They might want to do bus tours in the area, need to put people up in the hotel room. They might be having conventions, you name it. They go out and find these groups. They put the leads in the software, and those leads convert into the spaces that we rent, and you can follow their history and what they've done all over time. It's going to make it make a lot of sense and know what people's habits are and how to convert them into sales. So we're super excited about that. The other thing that's very important is that you need to be able to work a CAD program to do event layouts successfully. I've worked with different ones over the years. There's many companies that you can work with. The one that's the leader right now is Social Tables. Y'all heard of that one yet? Okay. Look it up. It's owned by a company called Cvent. Cvent's the largest company in the world that works with meeting planners to put together corporate events. So a meeting planner can go to Cvent, it's online, and say, this is my meeting, this is what I want to do, I want this many people at it, this many hotel rooms, I want this weather, whatever. And then Cvent's really smart, and it'll shoot it out to all the places that might be able to take care of that event. So Cvent got smart and said, I'm going to buy Social Tables with this CAD drawing, and then the meeting planners can draw CADs. Or the venues that are going to return a proposal can draw CADs. And then they can even talk to each other. Like, oh, I like that, but I might want it to look like this. And so it's a little interactive, it's very scale, and we're super excited about it. The hotel next door is going to have it as well, so that it looks really seamless when you get your proposals from us. We would do the same booking software as the hotel, but because it's a Marriott property, it is only a program that Marriott's use, and they can only use it themselves. So we're gonna work with them to make sure what we send out is very similar in how it looks to what they've got going on. Any questions on that? It's a big part of doing events, all this work to make it flawless when it happens. That's an example of a floor plan. It's really cool too because they can change the colors of linens. You can make it 3D and kind of take someone through the space, especially if you're having to work with someone from out of state or out of town. So you can talk over the phone, on a Zoom or whatever, and take them through it.
Are there any competitors to see that?
There are. It's still the largest. It just kind of is the animal that people just go to. There are companies out there that are large event planning companies. They hire different people throughout the country. Helms Briscoe is one of them that only do meetings. So there might be someone here in town. There is someone in town that works for Helms Briscoe. There might be people throughout the nation that works for them or internationally, and they use Cvent. So that's one of the reasons it really experience another company that has meeting planners. They use Cvent, and therefore they use social tables. Therefore they want their convention centers doing it too. So it's kind of driven by that market. All right, so that was exciting. I can talk more about events in general. Is there anything, Joe, that you would like me to touch upon?
Because we've covered a lot. And do you know Anna has the interview that we have on our on Canvas? I'm not sure if everyone's listened to that yet, but you talked to Will because that's one of the assignments. So in that interview, Anna's talking about function sheets and things like that. So some of you might have met Anna before by just watching that. But, any questions from you all? Any questions on what we talked about? Yeah, that is one area that I wish. I mean, it's almost like you need an event 2 class, but the whole world of software and organizational tools like that. I mean, that would be. I think we hit on that a little bit, but we don't go very deep in this class.
And it truly constantly changes. I mean, when I started, you were lucky if you got like a Xerox copy of a, maybe built plans from a construction company. Not to scale. You would buy these little pieces of plastic that had circles on it, and you'd draw your little tables in, hoping they were kind of sort of the right size.
I still do that at the Ritz.
I know. I'm guilty of it. Sometimes it's just easy. Or really bad stick drawings. We're all very good at stick drawings. But truly, to be professional, CAD programs are fairly simple these days. There's certain ones that are online for planners that are either free or very inexpensive, so that you can work with them too, which is helpful quite a bit. I've been in almost every aspect of event planning. It's a great career. I really feel like other careers bleed into it all the time. If you're in business, at some point you're going to be doing event planning. It's just what's going to happen. It's the way that you promote more business.
Even finance. I mean, this gentleman here is finance major.
I mean, I rope our CFO into it all the time. but it's an important way of selling. And it's really good for any type of big personal event too. It impacts lots of families, lots of people over time. It's really special to be in it. I will agree with Elliot. The most important thing is having good relationships. I call most of the people in this industry with me my vendor buddies, because I've always worked with them, whether it's the lighting company, the sound company, facilities, hotels. You really rely on each other. There's not another industry that I know of that you truly become friends with people that work at completely separate businesses, and you're all there for each other's good, making sure an event goes off without a hitch, and making special memories. And even if it's corporate, those events are so important. I mean, someone's job is riding on the success of that event. It's pretty critical, and we're really glad to be a part of it.
And I was trying to figure out the right time to ask you this to share with us, but I know I don't even have to ask them. I know all students like to hear about the backgrounds and where our guest speakers came from, what kind of education they might have had, and how they got to where they are now. Can you just kind of briefly share your background?
I'm happy to share it with you guys. when I went to school, you could major in hospitality, but I mean, at least in my world and experience, that was more the culinary side or hotels. I don't know how it was in the world you kind of were in, but from what I was exposed to at the time.
I mean, I guess you could separate it. There's culinary institutions, culinary schools, and then there's hospitality programs. And today, you know, most hospitality programs around the country, they have that generic bachelor's that kind of hits everything, and it's sort of like hospitality management. And then there's some of the bigger schools, they might have concentrations in events or concentrations
Yes.
in food and beverage. You know, so yeah, it depends. But
Today's world is
most
just much more expansive.
Yeah, most programs are grounded in management.
Yes. And I think the programs today are really exceptional and broad and captures different types of student wants and needs and what the future will be. So I was actually an art major. I can throw ceramic pots, I can paint oil paintings, I can weld, I can do all that kind of stuff. But as y'all know, that's probably not a way to be successful in life. I had a lot of good times. So I went back and got an MBA in business management. So I did that. From there, I got involved. I had worked at one point part-time for a doctor, and that doctor, y'all may not know the story, baby Jessica that fell in a well out in West Texas who almost died. He's the doctor that saved her. Nicest people in the world. Dr. Tubb and his wife Nancy, and he still writes my mom letters at Christmas about me today, so they're really sweet people. It's pretty funny. And so he said, Anna, why don't you try getting into the medical world? So I got into drug development through his help. So creating drugs, a lot of pharmaceutical world with how it's made. And drugs are made throughout the entire country. They especially like allergy medicines and things like that, they test it in different countries to see how people react. So you have to do huge events to attract hospitals to want to be involved, to get the developers of the drugs. You have to work with professionals from different countries, different scientists, so that they're looking at the chemistry of it, the biostatistics of it, and a lot of corporate meetings, small, all the time. So traveled all over the place. I was in Munich and San Diego and New York City primarily. So that was a really good learning curve of how to work with different cultures. I worked with people from Japan all the time and had to learn, you know, all of that heritage and to make sure that we never offended anyone and make sure everyone could understand each other at meetings and have interpreters. And it was a really big learning experience, whole different world. That was great. Came here on a fluke. Worked for a little company. 9/11 happened. Some of the funding fell through. They were like, you can come back to the Jersey area and do stuff again, but what's happening in Florida is not going to happen. And so I walked into the Ringley Museum and joined there when FSU took it over. So I had a great experience there. I learned all about working with government to do events similar to what I do now. It was historic and a very special place. When I was there, I met Paul Madison of Madison's. If y'all know anything about this area, he owns lots of restaurants and does events as well. He's on your advisory board for USF too. He is still my mentor, really great guy, taught me a lot. The most important thing that he taught me is be kind and never think that something's below you. Always pick up the trash, always clean the bathrooms, always do everything, because it needs to be done and it doesn't matter who does it. When you're at an event, you just have to do it. Just bust the tables nonstop and just really try hard. If he had anybody who is having any type of concerns about getting to work on time or anything like that, instead of ever getting mad, like he bought alarm clocks for all the staff at one point to help them out. He bought gas for people sometimes to help them get there. He was just a really great manager and a good way to look at events. We all have to work with each other to make it happen. And if that means getting an alarm clock, paying for some gas, we're gonna do it and we're gonna make it happen. So that was good training for me. From there, I had my own event planning company in this area. Honestly, weddings were huge. So I did weddings, nonstop weddings. It was great. And then some other things besides that. But weddings were a huge weddings market. In fact, Sarasota was in the top 10 of destinations at one point in the country. And the word just spreads. There are international weddings here. You just would not believe. All four corners of the world, you're gonna find people coming here and doing a wedding. People don't always realize that because they fly in maybe Thursday night and leave on Sunday, so they're just kind of in and out. But it's really good. And then over the years, I've worked with US Tent Rental. They're the largest party rental company on the west coast of Florida. Most people think they are from Tampa, but they're actually from Sarasota. If you're in Tampa, you see their trucks absolutely everywhere. They do everything. They did the Super Bowl this past weekend. They also are so big that they'll even do things like the Indianapolis 500. When hurricanes come, they do a lot of the hurricane tents and follow wherever FEMA needs them throughout the country. They're quite amazing. I was involved in their linens side. So all fancy party cloth linens or whatever, we ship them throughout the country. It was a really great business, crazy business. I can tell you all about chemistry of soap and water if you want to get bored. So we did that.
You know what? I mean, because we've known each other for a little bit here, and I love hearing about your background. But I always hear about little like new nuggets here and there. And your background it's almost like you were collecting these tools and these these experiences that just led you to where you are today. And I also think you underestimate or undervalue your art degree, because that's you. I mean, you probably have an eye that you take for granted, and that's huge. And so I think one of the first live classes we did, I was trying to get the point across of every experience or job you've had in the past, even if it's fast food, no matter what it is, or planning your little brother's birthday or something, it all kind of will help that event industry world, right?
It really will. And I mean, I spent time at all these companies, about 7 years here, et cetera, things like that. So it's really great. Stayed friends with everyone. And honestly, I wasn't looking. And if you do a really, really, really good job in events, people will find you. And I've been very lucky that way, but I also think, I have to be honest, it's hard work and people realize it, and you will be successful. You can be so successful in events. It's absolutely amazing. People will be really good to you, but you work hard. You work hard, your word needs to be good, and you need to be really open and honest with people, because sometimes even with the best intentions, certain things cannot come off without a hitch. You're gonna have a little hitch. And if you can work through it and help people understand what's going on and communicate really well, learn how they communicate. Sometimes people want to communicate by email. Some people want to communicate by phone. If you're ever worried, if you just have a half a second thought of, am I going to communicate this right by email? Y'all have all read an email where you're not sure. Pick up that phone for a second. It'll take you apart from your competition. It'll make you be ahead of them always. And you'll also never have that problem of a miscommunication by an email, because it just happens by accident sometimes. They don't hear your tone and inflection. And with events, that's critical, because so many times it's a personal event too that you're working with, or personal for that person.
How did you connect with? Tell them how you connected with Bradenton Area Convention Center and Elliott.
Sure. So I worked with Elliott probably 16 years. When I did events at the Crosley, I met him. I also did a lot of work for the Pittsburgh Pirates, doing some of their events. I did pep rallies and dinners for the wives and things like that. And Elliott worked at one time for the Pittsburgh Pirates, so I met him through some of that too, because he keeps really good relationships. Y'all hear a theme: keep good relationships. I'm friends with everyone I've ever worked with, and we just knew each other, worked with each other. I even was a member of the Junior League, a little nonprofit organization. We did events here and worked with Elliott when I first moved to town, and I just really highly respected him. He always has a lot to teach anyone he needs. He's so easy to work with, and he's so organized, and he got me involved with the Crosley Foundation, as y'all heard. And then one day he said this was coming up, and I was like, sure, this sounds like fun. I'll come over here. So I feel quite fortunate to be here. It's a really good place. And I've worked with a lot of people at this organization for years too. So I felt like I was just coming home to something that I just hadn't gotten to yet.
Great experience. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. So that was long-winded, sorry. I've
No,
just done a lot.
No, it's brilliant, and I like just how you're just kind of sharing we talk about diversity with an event space, but diversity with your CV and your resume is important too.
It's helped me a lot to understand where different people are coming from, and the needs and the critical aspects you have to pay attention to make an event work well. I really truly feel paying attention to loading in and loading out and all these times is so key, because it can waste people's money and time, their labor that they have to pay for being there. So that's one thing I think is one of the most important things to pay attention to. So.
Well, we definitely thank you. We thank Elliott. Thanks for your time today, and they mean it too, when they say keep in touch and
Yes.
here's my card and everything, they will get back to you and I mean, I tell you, I mean, some of you are gonna take this class and you'll get something out of it and then you'll move on and go down some other career path, but some of you might even wanna be attracted to what's going on here today and in this industry, so stay connected with them. Their internships are incredible. I think we have a pretty good track record. All the students that we've had apply and get internships and work for you and Elliot, they've had a fantastic time and they're very grateful and they make good connections too. So can't say enough. Can we just thank Anna?
Happy to be here. I'm glad that y'all are in college and learning more and seeing a little bit about what this is about too. So it's good.
So just to wrap up in like 9 seconds where we are in this class, I hope you're enjoying it so far. This is a great piece of the course, I think, and if you see Anna's interview, that'd be good. There's some other great interviews on there that you're gonna have to watch and then reflect on. One of them is Nicole, this incredible wedding planner who I met through Anna. So yeah, everything is connected. Right? And I believe there's an F&B one coming up where I'm gonna either talk to Chef Campbell or Chef Madison, Paul Madison. So,
Both of them are great.
yeah, that's gonna be great. That'll be towards the end when we start talking about food and beverage. So we're in module 2. If you have any questions about any of the assignments or any coming up, you can connect with me online, email, you can talk to me right now after we're done. I'll throw my mask back on. And then I believe the next live session, I really kind of want to get into and talk about your mini marketing project. So we'll spend some time on that, I promise you. And if you hopefully just if you're kind of lost or not sure what that's all about, check out that template, read through it, and then eventually I promise you we'll talk about it next time we do a live session. Okay. 27th, yes, of this month. You're good. Thank you so much. Any other questions for me or for Anna? You guys are awesome. Thank you. I'm going to stop the recording and I'll share it on YouTube link or something. Say it again. Oh yes, here we go. Other than that, drive safe.